Hi, I'm Jay Balter. I live in Leisure Village with my wife for 57 years. I have two children, six grandchildren. Okay, I've lived the great American life. Okay, I was born in Crown Heights, in what was a Jewish community, mostly Orthodox Jews. We didn't know anything else except Orthodox Jews. I was a secular Orthodox Jew, which means that I didn't go to temple, I didn't pray, but I ate a lot of Chinese food. So, and but you know, the thinking was still Orthodox in many ways. So, and I was there when, much to our surprise, we started to seeing a lot of people come from Europe from the Holocaust. A lot of people coming from Europe with looking different than I was a second generation American. My parents were born here, looking different than us, and we didn't understand that completely. Okay? So it was different time in history. But I used to walk up to Lincoln Terrace Park and Eastern Parkway and pass by the rabbi's house, and he used to give out dollar bills. I didn't know who he was. Okay? So it wasn't until much later on in life when I came to California, and actually Agora, when I started to learn about Chabad and Hasidism. I didn't know about it in New York at all. I just was there when it started. So I was like there when the history began in America. And when I came to Agora, I learned more about Chabad. Okay? So I read some things over the years, and I continued. I'm in the field of psychology, and in the field of humanistic psychology and spiritual psychology and transformational psychology. And I was given a book one day, Heaven Comes Down to Earth, and I read both segments, and these were quotes and philosophies, which about follows. Words of wisdom from the Rebbe, and I found it was consistent with many secular thoughts. So I didn't feel foreign to Chabad totally. And while I'm not a true follower, I am a true supporter, because I think that they do good work. They provide a humanistic touch to Judaism because of their loving and their caring. Okay, so that's my history. In addition to that, I have a little bit of other history, which is significant. Being a young Jew in Brooklyn, I was there when, after World War II, and we always questioned, and most of my relatives were soldiers during World War II. I had 7 uncles on my mother's side and 7 on my brother's side. It's a good Jewish family, okay? And everybody was in the army. Okay? And my brother was in the army, all my cousins were in the army, all my uncles were in the army, and they fought in World War II and they fought in Korea. So I was, basically expected to, go and serve my country, which I did, and I joined when I was 18, okay, and went into the 1st Infantry in Fort Benning, where I was trained as an infantryman, but they decided that apparently I didn't have the ability to fire a weapon, okay, and my ability to fire, they decided in order to have the will to kill. Okay, so the Army found that out early in my life, and they said, would I like to be a medic? So I said, sure. So I went to Army Medical School. They put me with a bunch of conscientious objectives. So now I was a little Jewish guy from Brooklyn, and I was in a room with 39 Seventh-day Adventists and 1 Jew, and we were studying medicine, and I was learning about how to be a conscientious objector. So I found out that even within the Christian community, there are things similar to the Jewish community. So there were things that were compatible that I was able to discuss, and we had a good time. And then the Army decides to send me to Germany. Wow. I said, that's a great place to go. It's peacetime. I said, I might as well go to Germany. I said, so where do they send me? They send me to Nuremberg, Germany. Okay? And not only do they send me to Nuremberg, Germany, they tell me my living quarters is going to be a place called the SS Kaserne. That's the Stormtroopers barracks in Nuremberg, okay, which today is a tourist attraction for cruise ships and all these these things on the river. They go to Nuremberg, they go to my barracks, right? And to the fields where Hitler, every time he conquered a city, he built another pillar. And that's where his rally fields were. And here's my room in Nuremberg, and I'm living in a dead SS colonel's room, okay? Dead SS colonel's room for 3 years, okay? And I'm overlooking the fields where Hitler, okay, had his rally fields. So I'm in the middle of history every night, okay? So I get there to Germany, and I say, "Ooh, what am I going to do here?" You know, I said, "This is, I'm a medic. I'm supposed to take care of people, and also we're occupying force. We have to be kind to the people we have to be kind to the Germans because we won the war. So now it's the time to rebuild the country." So I'm in conflict, of course, as a Jewish guy, what I'm doing. So anyway, I communicated with some rabbi back east, and he was convinced, okay, I won't mention his name, he was convinced that I was sent to Nuremberg for a purpose, for a greater purpose. And one of my purposes was to remember the Nuremberg trials were held after the war. There were only about 6 or 7 people convicted, okay? Most were not convicted because the defense was, I will follow orders. I will follow orders. I followed orders. I just followed orders. So anyway, this rabbi said to me, "Hey, your job is go find these guys. Okay? You're in Nuremberg." I said, "There's people in Nuremberg that know what's going on. Go find some Nazi and take care of them." You know. So anyway, I said, "Woo, boy." I said, "Do I have a greater purpose here than just being a nice soldier for the American army and keeping peace?" So then one night I got drunk, you know, because you get drunk in the army, you go out and have a drink and have a beer and so forth. I come back, and who comes to my house? The Israeli army comes to my room. 2 Jewish guys are leaving. They're going to be, the Israeli needed, you know, it was right after the war, the Yom Kippur War. They had war with Egypt. They needed soldiers to train me. Okay, so one night I didn't even tell the story in the book. I never talked. So I said, I'm not going to go. I am not going to give up. But 2 guys went. I remember guys went at the time. So instead, I chased Nazis. Okay. So anyway, rather than go into the whole tale, I said I wrote a little book about it. Okay? So what does it say? I slipped in Hitler's bed. So I wrote this book recently. I'm already 90 years old. I just wrote a book. But I felt it was a good story to tell in these times. Okay. There was a time when I really wanted to assassinate somebody who was not convicted at Nuremberg. And I did find somebody. Okay? And I did plot to assassinate him. And I was being supported by the rabbi back in New York who felt that was my job. So I didn't do it, of course. Okay? But I think if you want to read the book, you'll find out what goes on. And it also is a story not just of what happened in Nuremberg, but I came from a less religious, more confusing family, which may have been helped if they were more religious or more, less secular. But in my case, it wasn't. So the book also tells the tale of a Jewish kid, who happens to be, coming from a different type of family and has a different lifestyle and goes into this thing. Okay, and there I am. So that's my story. I think that it has some value. It shows how we have to deal with our anger and our feeling of vengeance and what we do and how we have to change those feelings. But I had to go through it in a situation where I was in a position to actually carry out an act of vengeance. And I decided not to. Okay? But I think the process of deciding not to in those days was very difficult. So read the book if you want to. It's on Amazon. Anybody who buys the book, all proceeds, including any profits, goes to Chabad of Camarillo, okay, with the continuing education programs. Okay, that's my story.
Thank you, Jay. Your story is remarkable, and anybody who really wants to get to know the entire story, I encourage you to go on Amazon. And as Jay graciously told us, the proceeds of the sale of his book will go to support Chabad of Camarillo.